Okay, let us carry on. So this is that famous recollection. And then the Buddha says, and he has said this also before in the same sutta, how could it possibly be that that which is born, created condition, and liable to fall apart should not fall apart, including the Buddha's own body? Yeah, so this is what you have to expect. This is everything in the world is created, everything in the world is conditioned, everything has come together, it is made up, it is put together, and for that reason it is also liable to fall apart. If it is created, it must also fall apart. This is a corollary, one of the other. Only those things that are permanent, always there, will never fall apart, because by definition they are permanent. But if it has come into being, it must fall apart, and everything is liable to these laws. And so, so this is another thing. This is basically the same thing as the Buddha was saying on his deathbed. Yeah, Vaya Dhamma Sankhara Apamadena Sampadeta. All things are liable to fall apart. Practice with heedfulness. Yeah, practice carefully. That's kind of what the Buddha is saying there. The very last words of the Buddha's passing away, which basically summarizes the whole Dhamma right there. So these are very simple. This is a very simple teaching. We can all understand what is going on, but it is also incredibly profound. If you understand this very simple teaching, basically fully, you understand the whole Dhamma. This is about impermanence. Everything that you hold dear and agreeable, at the end of the day, those things that you hold dear and agreeable includes the 5 khandhas, your own body, your own mind. That's also ultimately included in this. So it is also about you in the broader sense scheme of things. And all of that is liable to fall apart. All of that is liable to impermanence. All of that cannot be held on to. And so if you understand all of that, then that from this you can actually reach awakening itself. There is a sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya 4 that actually speak of this. You contemplate these things as uncertain, as impermanent, and from that the path arises, the path manifests. And the idea of the path manifesting is really the idea of stream entry. That's what it means. You understand the Dhamma as a consequence. So this is what the Buddha says to Ananda. Simple teaching. But it says this to Ananda, who is a stream enterer. So it is simple, yet profound at the same time. And this is one of those miracles of the Dhamma, is the fact that it's easy to understand, yet profound at the same time. So it makes it possible for all of us to practice these teachings at all kinds of levels, wherever we are at. All right. Then the Buddha says, for a long time, Ananda, you have treated the Buddha with the deeds of body, speech, and mind that are loving, beneficial, pleasant, wholehearted, and limitless. You have done good deeds, Ananda. Devote yourself to meditation, and you will soon be free of the defilements. So here the Buddha is reminding Ananda of how he has lived his life. He's telling him, you've done all of these good things. Why are you concerned about? This is what matters. You've stored up all of this good karma. You've built up a refuge for yourself. You have become resilient because of these things. Focus on that instead, and you will be fine. In fact, you have done so many good deeds, Ananda, the Buddha says, that if you devote yourself, if you practice well, you will soon become an arahant. That's what he's saying here. And so this kind of, this is the Buddha for you, the reminding of his disciples in the right way. This is how he shows his metta to his disciples. And this is also a reminder of how we should treat each other, If we are falling into despair or sadness or whatever, reminding each other of our good conduct, of the good things we have done. This is especially true on people are on their deathbed. The question was raised yesterday, what should we do when someone is dying? And one of the things we should be doing is to remind people of the good things they have done. Mum, Dad, you have no idea, I really appreciate all you have done. Don't forget about all the problems. There's always going to be problems, but forget about that, because we can focus on the positive instead. Thank you for all the good things you did for us. Thank you for A, B, C, D, whatever it is. And remind them of all of those things. Thank you for being a good parent. Some people don't have good parents, And so if you are one of those who have a good parent, you have a lot of reasons for having gratitude for that. So this is a beautiful way of reminding each other of these good qualities. It's thanking each other for living in the right way and the good way. And then the Buddha makes this prediction. The prediction that Ananda will become an arahant. And it is very rare for the Buddha to make predictions in the suttas. This is one of the very, very few cases. And I guess he can see that the mind of Ananda is so powerful, so strong, is going in one direction only, and it is the direction of awakening. Do you know how Ananda reached awakening? You know the story? Yeah, you all know the story already. Don't know the story? Okay. Some of you don't know the story. Okay, so the story is as follows, for those of you who don't know the story. So after the Buddha passed away, this is very soon after this, maybe a few days after this, actually maybe a few hours after this already, the Buddha passes away, and after the Buddha passed away, then they decide they're going to have a council to recite all the suttas and the Vinaya, because some of the monks, after the Buddha passed away, one of the monks called Subhadda, you know what he said after Buddha passed away? Yeah, one of you know? After the Buddha passed away, he said, finally, that Buddha has died. Now we can do whatever we like, No more rules and regulations, He was so demanding, that Buddha, now finally he's gone. Okay, so this is a bad way of thinking, right? Really bad way of thinking. So then Mahākassa said, okay, we better have a council before the teaching gets lost, right? And so they decide to have a council, and they go to Rajagaha. Rajagaha is one of the great cities at that time, and it is supported by King Ajatasattu, one of the great kings at that time. And so they go there, and what do they do when they go to Rajagaha? First of all, how many monks? 500 monks, according to the story. Have you been to Rajagaha? Have you been to the Satapani cave? That's where it's supposed to be held, And so you try to look for the space for 500 monks, and it's really hard to find at the Satapani cave. So how on earth could 500 monks find a space here? So you wonder, something is going on. Either it's not the Satapani cave, or maybe there weren't 500 monks. I don't know which one is more likely, so we can make up your own mind about that. Anyway, the first thing that they do when they come to Rajagaha, it is not, these are arahants. You think, they might sit down, and they might meditate, and they would recite the suttas or whatever, but no. The first thing they do when they get to Rajagaha is to repair all the dwellings. So say, okay, we've got 3 months. The first month, which is spent just on repairing dwellings. So all these 500 arahants, they get the hammers out, the saw out, the nails out, and they fix up all the dwellings. Isn't that kind of nice? You can imagine, it's a bit like, someone like, I don't know, you can even see now people who have practiced a long way on the path. I always like to think of my own teacher, Ajahn Brahma, and these days he doesn't do much physical work, I have to admit, but until very recently he did. And suddenly he would show up on the workplace, he would bring the drill and a hammer and some nails and screws, and would fix things up, He would climb the ladder, almost fall off the ladder, because he's getting a bit old now to climb ladders. But he would do that, and there's something very, very delightful about that. And here the arahants doing the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because they are the living examples for the sangha, and they show the sangha how to dwell, how to make merit, how to make the whole institution called the sangha work, function. So a little bit of physical work, is part of it. That's the first thing they do. And while all of this is happening, Venerable Ananda, he is not an arahant. He is invited to this assembly because he knew all the suttas. Please come along. And then he feels really bad about it. I am the only non-arahant. Wow, that's terrible. Everyone else, fully enlightened except for me. And he feels a bit kind of down because of that. He feels maybe not quite up to the task or whatever. And so he decides to meditate really, really, really well. So he sits up all night the day before the recital is supposed to start, according to the story. Or maybe that's a commentary, I can't remember. I think it's in the story, actually. And so he sits up all night, and he meditates and meditates, and he tries to become enlightened. And maybe that trying to become enlightened is the problem, Maybe trying too hard. Just like most people try too hard in meditation. When is the jhana going to come? When is the jhana going to come? The more you think like that, that never comes, right? That's kind of the problem. And so he does this all night, and then eventually dawn comes, and he thinks, no way, it's not going to happen, I'm giving up. That is the critical thing. Give up on that desire, give up on the wanting, on the striving. That often stands in the way for achieving the results. And so according to the story, he then lies down, and before the head hits the pillow and the feet hit the ground, the feet are kind of a bit up in the air and the head is a bit up in the air, that is when he became enlightened. Imagine becoming enlightened just in the middle of the air like that. Boom! Very interesting. So I'm not sure what happened, whether he hurt himself or what happened then, I'm not sure, but he was enlightened. So then everything was much better, right? And then they can all go together, and then you had 500 arahants. That makes the whole world feel much more happy that everyone was arahants. So then we feel more secure. We have the real Dhamma. And so that is how he did become an arahant, according to the story, not so long after the Buddha's awakening. So this is one of the rare cases where the Buddha made a prediction, according to the suttas. The Buddha very rarely talks about the future. So that is that little story. I'm telling you some random little stories. I hope you approve of those random little stories. These are suttas that I often forget about myself, so it's nice to kind of bring them back again alive. So there you are. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Oh, no, not yet. Sorry. There's more. I forgot that there's more. So then the Buddha said to the mendicants, the Buddhas of the past and the future, have attendants who are no better than Ananda is for me. Ananda is wise, he is intelligent, he knows the time for monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen, kings, ministers, religious founders, and the disciples of religious founders to visit the Buddha. So this is obviously one of the jobs of Ananda, is to act like a gatekeeper, to open the gate at the right time, to close the gate at the wrong time, and to know when the Buddha is supposed to meet with people. This is kind of one of the nice things. So this is one of the jobs. Basically, the Buddha does not want to meet people all the time. He wants to kind of hang out in seclusion and enjoy himself. And it's up to Ananda to make these kind of difficult decisions. So it's a little bit strange, isn't it? This is the way to praise Ananda. He knows the time. That's kind of one of the main jobs for the attendant, is to kind of make sure people come and not. But did he always get it right? And the answer is not always. And this is one of those other stories found in the same sutta, Mahāparinibbānasutta, which also is very touching in many ways. There's Subhadra, and Subhadra comes, and he says, the Buddha is kind of lying on his deathbed, it is very soon to die, and he says, I would like to come and see the Buddha. And Ananda says, it's the wrong time to see the Buddha, he's dying. You can't go and just see the Buddha when he's dying. You know what it's like, if someone is in hospital, they're just about to die, you don't want to have heaps of visitors coming to see them. It's kind of, especially when they want to ask questions of the Buddha. They don't want to see the Buddha to kind of pay respect, they actually want to ask questions of the Buddha. So you imagine someone is dying, I'd like to discuss dependent origination with you on your deathbed, You can imagine, too much dukkha, right? Too difficult. And so then the Buddha, however, has a very different idea of what is the purpose and meaning of life. And so then he overhears that conversation, and he says to Ananda, don't stop Subhadra, allow him to come through. Because Subhadra will not detain me with stupid questions. He is a real seeker. He wants to actually understand the Dhamma, so don't stop him. And so he is ready. He is ready to discuss dependent origination, if necessary, even just before he's dying. And this says something about the Buddha. The Buddha purpose in life is to teach the Dhamma. That's why he's there. Until the very last breath, until the very last words, it is all about Dhamma. The very last thing he says is strive on diligently, or strive on with heedfulness. This is the last words of the Buddha. And so for him, this is not really an imposition. It's only an imposition if the person comes to argue or to be difficult. But if they are really interested in the Dhamma, please come. This was one case where Ananda didn't quite get it right. Yes, even the best attendants make occasional mistakes. Anyway, let us go on to the next sutta. So what is that all about? Lost opportunities. Okay. So this is from the Anguttara Nikaya 8, number 29. So this here is to give you a sense of urgency, the sense of taking the opportunity while it is there. So let's see what happens here. Now is the time, now is the time. So says an uneducated ordinary person, but they don't know whether it is time or not. Mendicants, there are 8 lost opportunities for spiritual practice. What 8? Yeah, in other words, now is the time. And usually when people say that, it is some kind of silly thing. Now is the time to go to the restaurant, or now is the time to do whatever. It's kind of meaningless. But at sometimes it really is the time. Sometimes it really is the case that now is the time. And you have to take the opportunity. And so the Buddha is going to explain to us what it really means that now is the time. So to understand that, we have to understand when you cannot practice. What are the hindrances in the way? So let's have a quick look at this. Firstly, a realized one has arisen in the world. The Buddha has arisen in the world, perfected and fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy or well gone, knower of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. He teaches the Dhamma leading to peace, leading to extinguishment, leading to awakened, proclaimed by a Sugata, by a Buddha. But the person has been reborn in hell. This is the first lost opportunity for spiritual practice. Yeah, so this is the standard way that the Buddha is explained in the suttas. And this is how I would recommend you to reflect on the Buddha if you have a chance. This is the famous Itipiso formula. Yeah, he is fully awakened, accomplished in knowledge and conduct. It's a very beautiful formula, full of meaning. I'm not going to talk about it now because I've talked about this extensively before. But it is a very interesting one. But then you have the sentence that comes afterwards, and this sentence is quite unique to this sutta as far as I know. He teaches the Dhamma leading to peace, leading to extinguishment, leading to awakening, as proclaimed by the Buddha. Yeah, so you're teaching this extraordinary teaching that leads to things that no other spiritual teaching can really claim in the same way. Here is something extraordinary. Here is something that is outside of the ordinary things that you can expect to find in the world. When the Buddha says leading to peace, remember the Buddha is always understated. When he says leading to peace, it means the highest peace possible. It doesn't mean any ordinary peace. This is always like that. It's always about the highest things when the Buddha talks about them. When the Buddha says happiness, he means like leading to the highest happiness. So this leads to the ultimate peace, the highest peace. It leads to extinguishment. It leads to nibbana, the going out of the flame. And again, it's something unique. It leads to awakening, coming out of the dream state, coming out of the darkness, into light, understanding what the world actually is like, abolishing the delusion and the darkness in the mind. It is something exceptional, the Dhamma. It is not just about having faith in something. It is not just about simple practices of asceticism or simple practice of even virtue. It is something far more profound than that. It is a real insight. You don't normally find that in the world almost anywhere. So this is really unique. And so the idea here is that the Buddha points out that sometimes you get these very extraordinary things arising in the world. And when those extraordinary things arise, you want to be ready. You want to be there. You want to be able to take the opportunity. But if you have been reborn in a hell, there's no way you can listen to that Dhamma. In hell they don't allow you to listen to Dhamma. You don't get a little radio and you can listen to what's happening in the human realm. No. In the hell realm you are stuck. You can't do anything. And if you try to listen to the Dhamma, they will say, no, you cannot listen to the Dhamma. You are in hell. Don't forget you are in hell. And then they say, okay, I guess that's true then. And then you lose the opportunity. Yeah? So this is kind of so we have to be very careful with these things. Second one. Furthermore, a realized one has arisen in the world. So all the same thing that we saw before. But you have been reborn in the animal realm. This is the second lost opportunity. Sometimes people ask the question, what about if you are a dog or an animal and you come to the Dhamma talk or whatever, will you understand? The answer is no. Now, it's right here. White on black, not black on white. White on black, yeah? It is it's a lost opportunity. Animals cannot really appreciate the Dhamma. And even the higher animals, like the kind of the great monkeys and apes or whatever, like the orangutans. The orangutans is kind of one of the local monkeys. On Borneo anyway, Kalimantan, you find the orangutans. Have you seen the orangutans? You have? Okay. In the zoo or for real? In the sanctuary, okay. Yeah, because I remember I went to Borneo a few years ago because I go there. I go regularly to Indonesia because we get invited there as well. As you can imagine, you get invited everywhere. So every year I go to Indonesia. And when I go to Indonesia, they take you to different places. So I have seen more of Indonesia than 90% of Indonesians. And they say, wow, you've been there. I've never been there before. So I've been to all over Sumatra, all over Java, all over Borneo. I've been to Sulawesi, Bali, just the whole thing. And so I've been to Borneo. And when I went to Borneo, I went to a little town called Balikpapan. You know Balikpapan? Under the plank, It means under the plank, right? So I went to Balikpapan and I gave a Dhamma talk there. But when we got to the airport, they had this big picture of an orangutan, because orangutan is that's one of the main kind of tourist export articles in the orangutan. Everyone comes to see the orangutan. That's what they're famous for there. And they had this big picture of this orangutan on the airport. And I looked at this orangutan, I looked at my robe, and I thought, exactly the same color. It was exactly the same color. And so I decided I'm going to go up and kind of give this orangutan a kind of a good hug. I'm going to hold him around the shoulder. So I went up to this orangutan and kind of held my arm around it. And then the haircut is also a little bit the same. It doesn't have much hair. So the looks the same color, the same haircut. And then orangutan means forest man. I live in the forest man. And so I thought, wow, everything is the same, right? Maybe this means we are brothers in the past lifetime. So I held my arm, this orangutan. This is my brother over here. So we took a nice picture with the orangutan and the monk. So that was my foray into Borneo. It was very fun. And then I would go around Indonesia afterwards, and I would go to all these assemblies. Indonesia, always so many people come to Dhamma talk. It's like 1,000 people come to Dhamma talk. They rent these large hotel ballrooms. Usually owned by business people who give them for free and that sort of thing. And then I would always start the Dhamma talk by saying, well, you are orang Palembang, or orang whatever. I am orang Utang. That's always a good way to start the Dhamma talk because everyone has a nice laugh and then you can carry on. Everyone is nice and relaxed. But it's not the same. The orangutan cannot understand the Dhamma. Me, hopefully I can understand. That's the difference. And so you don't want to be reborn in the animal realm. So be careful. It is out of reach for the animals. So, let's move on. Furthermore, a realized one has arisen in the world, but the person has been reborn in the ghost realm. This is the Peta. We talked about the Petas before. This is the third lost opportunity. So as a Peta, you are quite close to the human realm. You can receive merit. You may be living in the same house and all of that, but you can't really understand the Dhamma. Maybe you can't go near the Buddha. I don't know what happens and why you can't do it, because on the one hand, they seem to be fairly close to us, but on the one hand, they are barred from the Dhamma. So don't become a ghost in your next life. This is one of the things, because then you are in trouble. All right. The ghost realm is not so far from the human realm. Animal realm is actually further. And the animal realm and the hell realm are the ones that you really don't want to get reborn into. Ghost realm, is not quite as bad. Often you go there for a short time and you come out again. So these are the three things that are lost opportunities. Furthermore, a realized one has arisen in the world, but the person has been reborn in one of the long-lived orders of gods. Certain orders of gods, especially the Brahmaloka, where you are reborn, you can't hear anything, you are just absorbed in meditation all the time, and you can't really do anything because you are kind of trapped in that in that realm, and so there is nothing much you can do because of that. So again, you are stuck in a sense in that realm. Does that mean you should avoid being reborn there? Maybe not. I guess it depends on what the alternative is. But it depends on the circumstances. I don't know how wise it is to try to be reborn anywhere particular, but this will block you from hearing the Dhamma, and that is the negative thing with this. But if you do get reborn there, and you come out when there is a Buddha in the world, it's probably quite good, because it means you will have a very pure mind, because you just come out of the Brahmaloka. Brahma Vangso is the name of Ajahn Brahm. It means the lineage of Brahma. And I think he probably came down, born from the Brahmaloka, and then he became a human being. And then when he became a human being, that's why his meditation is so good, because he was Brahmaloka and now Manusaloka, the human realm afterwards. It's just my theory. I don't know anything about it, but it's my theory. You can ask Ajahn Brahm next time he comes here. See what he says. Is it true? Ajahn Brahmali says, you came from the Brahmaloka. You can see what he says. So this is what Anyway, time is going faster, so let us take another 5-minute break. Okay, let us carry on. So, any questions, comments, or anything? Want to say anything? Aha, the venerable, good-looking.
Ajahn, Brahmali means from the lineage of Brahma. So, Ajahn, you come from Brahmaloka?
No, I come from the Theravada. Unfortunately, this is a word in the name in the Theravada, Brahmali Thera, and that's where it's taken from her. So, but my name means basically the same thing as Brahmavangsa, same meaning. Vangsa and Ali both mean lineage or line. I didn't know it at the time. I just chose the word because it sounded nice, and I found out it means the same as Brahmavangsa, which is kind of interesting. So anyway. Okay. Anyone else? Please. Of course you may.
Ajahn, may I ask you, did Buddha describe in his sutta how one ends up in the hell realm? And describe the hell realm? Is it as per what we see in the movies?
Is it what we see in the movies?
Thank you.
What the Buddha says about the hell realm, he says that if there is one thing that is utterly unliked and disliked by human beings, it is hell realms. So in other words, it's very bad. There are some descriptions in there, but I can imagine that many people say it's largely mind-made. You create these realms yourself. So it is a real destination, it's a real kind of rebirth, but the actual torments you go through is often because you think you deserve it, and so you kind of create it yourself. And so one of the main reason one goes to a hell realm is because of anger and ill will. Someone has a lot of anger and ill will and acts out from that. That will be one of the reasons why you go there. But it's not enough to have it mentally, you have to also act it out through speech and body. That's one of the worst things that you can do. So this is one of the ways. It's also said that if you have wrong view and you act according to wrong view, that can also be bad. And so but that would include things like having a lot of ill will. So ill will usually gets you there. A lot of sensuality and a lot of misconduct in the sensual realm is often said to end up in the Petaloka. because the Petas, are the ones that are often depicted as big tummies but small mouths. They can't eat. They never get satisfied. And so excessive greed leads to rebirth in the Petaloka. And delusion often leads to the reborn in the animal realm, because animals are often very deluded. They have like small brains and bodies that are very constricted and confined, and so your mind doesn't have a chance to operate properly. But there are suttas that describe the hell realms. One of the most famous ones is, you can look it up if you like, is Majjhima Nikaya 130, the Devadutta Sutta, I think it's called. The Devadutta, no, is it Devadutta? I think so. The Divine Messenger Sutta, I think that's what it's called, in the Middle Length Sayings, number 130. And there are some descriptions there. I don't know how literally to take those descriptions, whether this is more individual, but it is, So please be careful with that, yeah. Okay, good. So anyone else?
Ajahn,
please, yeah.
The Deva realm is not mentioned as one of the 8 lost opportunities, so it's okay to be born in Deva realm.
It is the long-lived gods are mentioned. What is that in the Pali? Do you have the Pali? Do you know what the Pali is? The Digayuka Deva, probably. Digayuka Deva, something like that. Yeah, so Digayuka Deva Nikaya, yeah. So this means any kind of order of devas that are long-lived. So it would mean those who are beyond the reach of the Dhamma, beyond the reach of the Buddha. So it means certainly the Brahmalokas, but maybe it also means some of the ones a bit further down. Usually when we see in the suttas the Buddha is the teacher of gods and humans, it usually refers to the lower Deva realms, yeah, the 4 great kings or the Tavatimsa Loka, something like that. Those beyond that, I'm not sure whether they really have an opportunity. Yeah. So this is one of those slightly uncertain areas, I suppose. Okay. Okay.
Afternoon, Ajahn.
Yeah.
So you're saying that if a human can go down to the animal realm,
yeah,
and the animal realm has no opportunity for spiritual practice, which means, for example, the dog, they will never have a chance to be reborn into a human realm again, because no opportunity to learn the Dhamma or to do good.
Yeah, but remember that all beings have some underlying good qualities. And so the alternative is that if you live out all that bad karma that you have made, once that kind of has been reduced a long way down, then the underlying good qualities, there will still be some there that enable you to be reborn in the human realm again. Yeah. So it's not necessary to make good karma. Sometimes it's just the existing good karma will eventually take you back. Yeah. So we are so complex. We've done so many things in the past that there's some things there that are still going to help. But it's true though that it's once you get reborn in the animal realm, you can get stuck there for a long time. Yeah, and you become a dog, and then you get reborn as a dog again and again. Again and again and again. And after a while, it's not very nice. Yeah. So.
But some dogs have better life than the homeless human.
In some ways maybe, but in many ways not, because for a homeless human there's still hope, maybe you can emerge from that, and then you can still understand the Dhamma, you can still practice well, you can still do good things, but that dog, even though it lives in a nice home, it might still get reborn as a dog 1,000,000 times after that, and so it's still kind of very stuck in that realm. So it's a mixed blessing, I would say.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah.
Ajahn, is there an algorithm where let's say you attend Dhamma class, you have 1,000 good karma.
What?
If you organize Dhamma class, you have 10,000 good karma. If you wash the toilet, you have 100,000 good karma. Do we have that algorithm in the data center?
It is something like that, right? It's not entirely wrong, And so, of course, if you organize like a Dhamma class or the hearing of the Dhamma, or give people access to hearing the Dhamma, it's powerful, right? It's really important. So it's a wonderful thing to do. Cleaning the toilets is also a really good. I'm not sure if there's more good karma cleaning the toilets than organizing Dhamma talk, but sometimes it's also, remember that a lot of good karma is about the timeliness, what is actually needed. And if no one wants to clean the toilet and you do it, that means you're providing a very useful service, because you are doing. Everyone else looks down upon cleaning the toilet. That's terrible. But if you can do that because you don't, you think it's a good karma, great. So it depends on all kind of things. And this is kind of that old conundrum that people always bring up. You have some food, and there is a poor beggar and there's a fat arahant who's already eaten lots. Should you give to the fat arahant who has eaten a lot, or should you give to the poor beggar? It's one of those conundrums. And the answer is, you should give wherever your heart inclines. That's the answer. You should give where it feels good, where it feels right, where it's timely, where it is important after scrutinizing. And sometimes that will mean giving to the poor beggar. Because that's what feels right at the moment. And that's the right thing to do according to the suttas. It's not always right, and maybe there is more good karma given to the arahant, maybe, I don't know, but it's not all about good karma. It's also about what feels correct at that time. The Buddha specifically says that. If it feels right, you should give there. You should not be concerned about the amount of karma that is concerned.
This is my recruitment drive.
Is it a recruitment drive? Okay, good, okay. So please, please be recruited. Please be recruited, Okay. Clean the toilets, that's right, No, it's good. Doing the humble jobs is often very nice, being kind of just doing ordinary things. There's something very, very nice, something very grounding about that. Not taking oneself too seriously here, We're not that important, basically. That's kind of nice not to feel too important, I think,